Hi everyone and welcome to this talk at Shopware's first virtual community day. For me personally, it's even the first community day as a Shopware employee, and even if the setting is slightly different than expected, I'm very excited to be part of this together with you and happy to now give you some insights into our product management. The next couple of minutes will be about the following topics. We will start with our priorities. The question I'd like to answer is, what will Shopware be focusing on in the short and long term and why? Second, I'm happy to give you some insights into how we plan our products and how you, our main stakeholders, can engage with us and influence our decisions. Last but not least, I want to give you a sneak peek into some upcoming highlights you can expect from Shopware 6. But before we start, let's have a short review of what happened since the last community day when we introduced Shopware 6 to you. Our journey started with the early access release last year, and we're very thankful for all the valuable feedback we received from you, and which led us to our first supported release, Shopware 6.1, in the beginning of this year. I'm very proud of the great features and improvements we added in our current release, Shopware 6.2. And we're looking forward to again collect your feedback to understand what you think about it and keep on improving. As Stefan and Jörn already announced earlier, today another major milestone in the history of Shopware was achieved, the launch of Shopware Cloud. So now let's start with our first agenda point, Shopware's priorities. Why is it important to set priorities and focus on something? Two things. First, we only have limited resources, and second, we want to do what we do best. With the introduction of Shopware 6, we decided to develop a trend-setting product for the future of e-commerce from scratch. But it's important to understand that we did not try to rebuild Shopware 5 with a better tech stack and label it Shopware 6. No, Shopware 6 is a completely new product with a different approach. And thinking about that, you might understand why some features that exist in Shopware 5, which you also would expect in Shopware 6, might be missing. Our priorities, which we'll go through in a minute, will make it easier for you to understand our decisions. We will cover three main points, and the first one is the open platform. Our main goal is to develop the software in a way that it is outstanding in all areas that we address, and supports your growth in the best possible manner. We admit that some things others do better than us, and that's why we think that exactly those things should not be developed by us, but by our great community. We see ourselves as an open platform, extendable by our great ecosystem of partners and developers who provide functionality and services so you can set up Shopware tailored to your needs. We strongly believe that we can build the best e-commerce platform together with the strongest asset we have, our great community. The second priority for Shopware is its reliability. We know that your decision for a software is a big confidence advance towards us. Therefore, we have a strong focus on being a maximum reliable partner for everyone who decided to work with us, and we want to repay their trust in us. Maybe we have not always managed everything perfectly here in the past, and that's why we have made this a priority for us from now on. We want to focus on the following cornerstones in addition to maximum transparency, which I will tell you more about later on. The first cornerstone is a stable foundation. Nothing is as important as the foundation on which everything is built, and therefore we are working hard to constantly improve our based on this foundation. And that is the reason why you might see some more epics regarding tech debt between the epics for new features on our roadmap. The second cornerstone is to finalize our APIs. Not only since Shopware 6, the technical world has been mostly about APIs. And in addition, as I mentioned earlier, we want to set ourselves up as a platform. From this point of view, we see the APIs as the primary interface. And that's why we work hard to finalize our APIs and their concepts in a way so that they fit all the future requirements. With the Store API, we're happy to already show the first result of this focus. If you'd like to get more details, I can highly recommend Dominic's session on the tech track tomorrow. The third cornerstone is a commitment to improve steadily. In the past, Shopware was developed in a way that we always worked towards big releases. This meant that you had to deal with fewer updates per year, but of course these were more powerful and often meant a major change within your scope. But the biggest disadvantage we see with this is that we always had to keep you waiting for a rather long time until we could release a new version with changes. So in the future, we want to set a rhythm of 4 to 6 weeks per minor release and be able to provide improvements and features faster than ever before. The third and the last main priority for us are our product differentiators. To give you a better understanding of what Shopware stands for, we have decided on the following differentiators. They largely determine how we will develop Shopware as a product. Simply said, these are the core areas which are fundamental and which we always strive to be best in class in. The first differentiator is about the flexibility of the business model. We are convinced that e-commerce in general still has a great deal of change ahead and that tomorrow we'll be doing things that we know nothing about today. We want Shopware to be able to cover as many relevant cases as possible, talking about e-commerce now and in the future. Breaking it down to the core, it will always be about creating a transaction, including something which is best described as an item. But the requirement for this item isn't the same in each business case. For example, an ebook which is provided as download doesn't have to be limited by its stock and so on. Due to the fact that this concept isn't final yet, I can't give you too much details, but it seems like we will decouple the information not shared by every business model and make them available through different item types. Same applies to the creation of an order, which can have different needs like adding a pickup and return date for rentals or being processed automatically in terms of a subscription and so on. To make this setup as smooth as possible, we want to provide presets for different business models to cover most of the default settings needed for this type of business. In addition to flexibility, each business model also has its own business logic. And this is where our next differentiator comes in: business rules. In essence, it's all about thinking of Shopware as a good employee. Namely, explaining to him what he has to do in which case once, and then being able to rely completely on the fact that everything is implemented by him as desired. Besides the rule builder, which you already know, there will be more like this. For example, the flow builder, which will allow you to map entire processes including actions and conditions. An example for that would be to trigger a webhook after the payment for an order has been received, which then notifies the delivery boy for same-day delivery. Shopware will already have a set of actions provided from the start and will continue to add more actions. On top of that, extensions for Shopware can also provide additional actions. And of course, our concept of dynamic grouping we introduced with Shopware 5 for products and customers will stay a substantial part of our business rules and we will continue to improve them. The third differentiator for us is our CMS, optimized for commerce experience. Experience have always been at the forefront of Shopware, and this will not change in the future. On the contrary, we will continue to expand this in Shopware 6. We strongly asked ourselves if we really think there is a need for an integrated CMS within a commerce solution. Our clear answer to that is yes. We are convinced that necessary performance can only be achieved with an integrated CMS. And the reason why is that we always want to combine commerce and content to create a great customer experience, which means we will add dynamic product data like pricing and available into more or less static content. But already here it comes to the point where we need some magic only Shopware can provide us. Is the product still available? If not, what is a decent alternative? What pricing applies to this customer? Has the price changed since the last update, and do I have to clear the cached information? Does the promotion displayed in a CMS block apply to this customer, or should we hide it? There are many more cases that prove our point, so you can be sure this is a differentiator for us and we will continue to improve it. My personal highlights beside the integration of the rule builder is the possibility to work with multiple revisions for a page and to create custom workflows to publish them management, to manage the settings and conditions for all content belonging to one campaign, which should make the handling way easier, especially when you're facing many campaigns with a large set of content. So, to sum it all up, Shopware has three main priorities, namely, first, being an open platform in which our expert community can provide extensions through our community store and give you, our merchants and users, the possibility to customize Shopware tailored to your needs. Second, being a maximum reliable partner with the commitments of building a stable foundation, improving steadily, and finalizing our APIs. And last but not least, we want to focus on our three product differentiators in which we strive to be best in class, and those are Business Model Composer, Business Rules, and Commerce CMS. Now that I have told you what our general priorities are, I would like to show you how our product management looks in practice and how we plan our updates for Shopware 6. Our most important asset in this whole process is the feedback we receive from you, our users. We are currently in the final stages of implementing a new feedback management system. Simply said, you can imagine it like a big pool in which the entire feedback is collected. It doesn't matter where the feedback comes from. It always goes through the same process, no matter if we get the feedback from you as a user or from our team itself. Our product manager then processes this feedback and let it flow into our new or existing ideas in the best possible way. Having created various new ideas out of the feedback, next we have to prioritize them. Doing so, all ideas receive a score using various metrics that result in a priority for us. The score determined by this process helps us to put up the ideas in an optimal order and to do the right thing at the right moment. Of course, the amount of feedback we receive on something is also an essential factor, and therefore the feedback for each and every one of you is even more important. In our regular planning sessions, we go through the list of the open ideas, and based on the priority, we select the ideas we want to tackle next and schedule them for final conception. Here we already try to cut them into iterations, so that we can release the first version as soon as possible and then improve it based on the feedback you give us. The final step is the roadmap planning. Here we consider all ideas that have final concepts and can be evaluated in their complexity and effort. If a feature is scheduled for implementation, it will appear on the roadmap with a planned start and end date, and its implementation can be monitored by you from that moment on. So to summarize, what is important to remember is that your feedback in the best case evolves into an idea, goes into the planning, and finally lands on the product roadmap. So you can see that your feedback is essential for us, and your feedback is crucial to constantly improve Shopware as a software. That said, in the name of the whole team, thank you for your ongoing feedback and effort. We really appreciate this. Now that I was able to give you the insights, I'm happy to announce that this will not remain an internal process on the long run. In fact, we are working hard to make this process as transparent as possible for you. Our goal is to publish a kind of dashboard for each individual product as soon as possible, which will serve as a central point of information. As announced by Stefan this morning, we are taking the first step towards this with our public roadmap. In this roadmap, you will find the currently planned ideas ready for implementation, as well as other related information directly from the product development team, so you will always be up to date. As a next step, we would like to open the feedback management in a way so that you can give your feedback directly, which will then flow into a just explained process. Until this has been implemented, you can continue to use the familiar ways to give feedback, such as the issue tracker, the forum, or the direct contact with our team. The roadmap currently only contains epics which are ready for implementation. But in our final vision, we would like to involve you at an even earlier stage and transparently show you which things we are working on and that are not on the roadmap yet. In addition, we also want to give you an insight into which ideas we have already collected and give you the possibility to influence the priority not only by feedback but also by votes. So stay tuned, there is a lot happening around feedback management, and we want you to gain more transparency and influence, since in the end, you are Shopware users. As promised in the beginning, a few highlights that will find their way into the product in the future. Let's start with Shopware Markets, which will allow you to add the sales channel eBay and Amazon within Shopware. Especially as a front-end guy, I'm very excited to see what you will create with our brand new PWA, which will release soon, and Sander will introduce you to it in this session later. During the part of the differentiators, I already mentioned the flow builder as a core component from our business rules, and we will start to work on this on the first iteration of this soon. Already great progress has been made within our themes project, where we have the goal to provide you various sets of professional themes for different business cases, all developed and maintained by the Shopware core team. As you heard in Felix's sessions right before mine, we are proud to announce a partnership with Google, one of the most successful companies. And of course, this is just the first step to be taken. Together with the team from PayPal, we're currently on our way to integrate iZettle as a point of sales channel, which we should be able to release soon. Next, and already mentioned, I want to point out the integration of our rule builder into Shopware CMS. This will level up the possibilities of our CMS by a lot. A feature I know many of you have been waiting for will be rights and permissions, which is already in development, so its first iteration has a good chance to be shipped to you in the near future. Coming to an end, you might have noticed that I didn't mention any updates from our Enterprise Edition. The reason is that our product manager for Enterprise, Moritz, will go into more detail of what we are planning for our Enterprise product during his session later on. So just as a hint from my side, don't miss it. We have some exciting news coming up. Thanks for listening, and now I'm looking forward for your questions and comments.